Danny Devito turned 80 years old not long ago, but his life story is very sad. His mother told him she never wanted him. He got angry every night when his dad drank. 17 times before Danny was 15 years old, the police were called to their house. That's not the worst part, though. Danny has kept a terrible secret from everyone for many years. A rare illness that hurts every day. Holly would paid him a lot of money to change his face and have surgery. He said no and burned the paper. The truth about his pain is finally coming out now that he is 80 years old. Things were hard for Danny Devito at first. He came into the world in 1944 in Neptune, New Jersey, and the chances were against him from the start. Julius, his mother, was 40 years old and had raised several kids. She didn't want one more. Years later, she came clean about it. I didn't want him, but I'm so proud of him. It would be enough to break anyone, but for Danny, it was fuel. He never got over that early feeling of being rejected. It followed him around like a cloud all through his childhood. He didn't let it get to him, though. He kept going. He had to show that he was important. He was still having trouble, though. Life at home was hard to plan. Daniel S.R., his dad, was a nice person during the day. People liked him and his candy shop in Asbury Park. But when it got dark and the drink started to work, he changed. Irate, loud, and even dangerous. Danny learned to pay attention to things like the sound of bottles and the way his dad's steps changed. He hid in closets sometimes. At other times, he ran to the close-by people. At least 17 times between 1950 and 1955, the cops were called to their house. These events in my life left deep marks on me. After many years, he stayed clean and even started a support group in 1992 called Little Giants. It has helped more than 15,000 kids from houses like his get the help they need. Danny knew he had to leave when he was 14. The area around him was falling apart. There was heroin everywhere. 2 of his best friends had died before he turned 16. He came up with a plan. He worked hard at school, kept the dollar too. $137 he earned from odd jobs and talked his church priest into talking to his parents. His goal was to go to oratory prep school. He was careful with his time. He only asked his parents for permission when his dad was drunk and guilty. His mother agreed, even though she felt bad about being turned down before. It's likely that choice saved his life. 12 friends from that time lived to be at least 25 years old. Of those, only 3 were still alive after 25 years old. There was also something else. Danny had a Fairbanks disease, which is a rare genetic disorder. That's why he only got 4'10" tall. It wasn't just about height, though. It was really painful. His back, knees, and hips hurt all the time. He felt about 6 to 8 out of 10 pain most of the time in his 20s and 30s. He didn't give up, though. He pulled off his own tricks. He even passed out 4 times while shooting one flew over the cuckoo's nest and said it was part of the part. As much as doctors tried to get him hooked on painkillers, he never did. He also gave more than $12 million in secret to help pay for treatments for other people with bone problems like his. He never signed off on the work. He didn't want anyone to notice him. He only wanted other people to have less pain. As a kid, he had a different job that most of his fans don't know about. He worked as a butcher. He trained for it for 500 hours and got second place in his beauty school class. He worked at Curl Up and Dye, the salon owned by his sister Angela. People made meetings months ahead of time because he got so good at it. He even won prizes for a haircut he came up with called the Neptune Twist. It was important to him, even though he only started to meet girls. While Danny was doing a client's hair, one day her husband, who produces plays, told her to try out for a part in a play. That's how everything began. There was no hope for Danny to become an actor. He tried to get into the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in 1962 to learn how to do makeup. Even though he had never done one before, he agreed to do one when they asked him to. He put on a play from the Rainmaker. It all made sense. Not for makeup, but for playing. They gave him a spot. He didn't say yes right away. After 3 days, the school called again and offered him a partial grant. He went back to the salon. His life changed after that second call. After a few years, he was living in New York with Michael Douglas as a neighbor. They lived together in a small room that had cockroaches, not much heat, and $1.75 rent that they could barely pay. Doug didn't say anything about being Kirk Douglas's son. They ate old bread and beans from a can. They once used their last $1.27 to print headshots and hand them out all over the city. While Douglas got some parts, Danny kept getting turned down. The link stayed, though. After many years, Douglas asked Danny to be in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That part changed everything. Danny had a rough time in Hollywood for years before she got her big break. He tried out 248 times between 1967 and 1970. He only got 3 small jobs and made a total of $800. That's how he made money. He parked cars, stood still like a mannequin in a clothing store, and even cleaned cages at the LA Zoo for $185 an hour. To keep his skills sharp, he read lines to chimps. He lived in his old VW Beetle for a while. He used the IMCA to shower and ate at soup kitchens. He didn't tell anyone that story for many years. Hollywood wanted to make him different. The people who work with him told him to have surgery. Some people said that his legs should be broken and made longer. It was wanted that his face be changed. Indeed, one company even offered him almost $1 million today if he went through with it. No, he said. It's true. He burned the contract in a beach fire. Fame, he wouldn't change into someone else. He thought about what he said to a casting director for years. If I could be anyone but myself, it would be better than being someone else. The parts he played in his early years didn't pay much and were hard. His first show off of Broadway paid $25 a week to pay the rent. He worked long shifts at a printing press. While that show was going on, he was very depressed. He almost quit. He made a little more than $200 on his first movie, but he got pneumonia while shooting in cold water. To save money, he even slept in a barn. In 1972, his dad got sick. Dane didn't have much time to go home. It broke his heart when his father died. He put in for a job at the post office and considered giving up playing, but the phone rang the same day he got the offer letter. It had to do with trying out for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Everything changed at that time. Pain, being poor, and being turned down all led to that one chance, which he took. Michael Douglas, who used to live with him, was the director. What was even crazier was that Devito had played Martini, the same character, on stage years before. So when the casting team wasn't sure what to do, he was already ready. The movie was shot in a real mental hospital, and real patients were even used as actors. Things were tense, which helped Devito give his act a more honest feel. He was only in the movie for 5 minutes and 52 seconds, but he made an impression. As the company tried to get a bigger name, director Milos Forman stuck by him. The movie won 5 big Oscars in the end, and even though Devito wasn't chosen, he was now known. Then, in 1978, Devito did something that most people thought was crazy. He turned down 3 movie parts to try out for the TV show Taxi. His agent told him not to do it. In Hollywood, everyone said that going from movies to TV shows would ruin your future, but Devito went with his gut. He was sure he had to play Louis De Palma after reading the story. He did more than just read lines at the. Nobody could believe what he said during his 7-minute speech. ABC was scared because he was only 4'10" tall. But show creator James L. Brooks said he would quit if he wasn't cast. He had that much faith in Devito. Danny didn't even try to get more money. He agreed to the deal right away, even though it paid 40% less than what other stars were getting paid. Then everything changed. Before Taxi, he had been turned down for almost 200 interviews over the course of 3 years. Casting directors kept telling him he wasn't tall enough, looked too weird, or was too different. His fame spread quickly after the show aired, though. He got more than 11,000 fan letters in just 8 shows. It was never done before, especially by a supporting figure. Louis Dielma was too good to be funny. People loved how mean, rude, and hurtful he was without feeling bad about it. Every show, censors got 3 to 5 letters of complaint just because of Louis. Devito would get ready for each scene by making a quiet list of all the people who had turned him down in the past. That anger and energy showed up in the act right away. It worked. By 1980, 93% of Americans knew who Louis De Palma was just by hearing or seeing him. It became one of the most famous sets in TV history because it was built to fit DeVito's size. The awards came next. He won a Golden Globe in 1980. He won an Emmy the next year. Everyone was shocked. Lou de Alma wasn't a normal hero or even a likable person, but everyone couldn't take their eyes off of him. It was extra sweet for Devito to win the Emmy because he wasn't given any attention during the first season of the show. He only said 12 words when he finally got his prize. "Thanks. This makes me really happy. The best TV show right now is Taxi." The victory speech was the shortest in the history of Emmys. Bet sites in Las Vegas thought Jack Albertson would win the Golden Globe that same year. Devito sucked him up. Behind the scenes, some judges didn't even want to put him forward. They thought he was too bad of a person to honor, but after he won, everything changed. It showed that people could also like bad guys. That idea changed TV for many years. NBC even tried to hire him by giving him $175,000 per episode to host their own show. That was 11 times what he was making. No, he said, he wanted to stick with the Taxi group. Devito met Rhea Perlman in the middle of all his success. It took an odd turn of events. She came over to break up with Devito because she was dating his roommate. That's how she met Danny. That night, they talked for 6 hours. Later, Devito said he knew he wanted to marry her after just 22 minutes. The next year, Perlman joined Taxi to play Louie. People who made the show had no idea that they were dating in real life. They seemed to really get along, so everyone thought they were just playing. They moved in together after only 2 weeks, crammed into Danny's tiny 450 QFD flat. It was important to them that they had different dressing rooms on set even after they got married in 1982. Lots of people don't know this, but they worked together behind the scenes as well. They started their own film company, Jersey Films, in 1983. It was done at night and on weekends while Taxi was still being filmed. After more than 40 years, they've worked on 17 projects together and even made a rule. They would always work on something creative together for at least 2 weeks at a time. After the 1983 end of Taxi, Devito did something that most TV stars couldn't do. He did well when he moved on to movies. He got a part in Terms of Endearment that same year, which won Best Picture at the Oscars. He stole parts in the 1984 movie Romancing the Stone, which made over $115 million with only a $10 million budget. He worked with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner again on the follow-up, called The Jewel of the Nile. At the same time, he added a small part to Johnny Dangerously just to stay on TV. He was making smart moves, getting more movie credits and moving forward. But in 1986, he played a bad guy in Ruthless People. People really liked the part he played where he was a stingy man who wouldn't pay the ransom after his wife was taken. It made over $71 million, but it cost $5 million to make. Devito was up for a Golden Globe. His performance was so crazy that it became the movie's main focus. No one was afraid of him being hated. Being sure of yourself opened more doors. DeVito's first movie as a director was Throw Mama from the Train, which came out in 1987. It was a deal. He would only act in it if he could also direct it. He won. Carefully picked spots all over Los Angeles were used for the movies. There were even times when he tried to get Brian De Palma to be in the movie, but it didn't work out. In the role of Mama, Anne Ramsey did a lot of her own moves after surgery. The bruises she got didn't stop her. It took 6 days to film the last train scene, which took place on a private track in Valencia. Devito got praise for the movie and was nominated for another Golden Globe. Then Twins came out in 1988. It was a crazy plan. Devito and Arnold Schwarzenegger could play long-lost twins. I thought it was a joke, but it worked. The 2 stars and the director, Ivan Reitman, did not get paid up front. Instead, they agreed to share 40% of the money they made. It was very risky, but it paid off. It made $216 million around the world, which is more than $500 million these days. Each man made between $35 and $40 million. People saw Devito in a different light after seeing that movie. It was no longer just a weird supporting role for him. He played a major role. He showed that to carry a movie, you don't have to be big or good looking. You only needed to be good. Devito was working on something behind the scenes while everyone watched him as an actor. He had already made a TV movie in 1984 called The Ratings Game. In 1986, he directed an episode of Amazing Stories and worked with Rhea again. And in 1989, he reunited with his co-stars from Romancing the Stone for the War of the Roses. The story was harsh, funny, and for many people it hit close to home. The title even turned into a slang word for bad divorces in Germany. Devito's style stood out because it was funny, strange, and dramatic. The film was clearly unique from the start, as shown by the opening scenes designed by the famous Saul and Elaine Bass. It wasn't just a hit. It showed that Devito could act and direct at the same time without getting distracted. Then 1992 came along. In that same year, Devito changed totally to play the Penguin in Tim Burton's Batman Returns. He really went all out and wore makeup for hours on end to become the evil Oswald Cobblepot. It was more than just an outfit. Devito gave a crazy, creepy, and kind of sad show. People really liked it. He was even up for the MTV Movie Award for Best Bad Guy. After many years, he said he'd be happy to play the Penguin again if Burton also came back. That was not all Devito did, though. He also made the serious movie Hawa that same year, which was about labor leader Jimmy Hawa. Hawa was played by Jack Nicholson, and DeVito directed and starred with him. It was a big change from comedic stuff. He made a movie with the famous writer David Maymoth that was full of talks, fights for power, and anger. It was all in one line in the trailer: "We're going to march to get what we came for." This was DeVito's chance to show that he could handle big, tough stories well. DeVito also changed his ways in 1992. He made Jersey Films, which is his own production business. It wasn't just a show of pride. He worked with Michael Shamberg at first and then Stacey Sher. They worked together to make one of the best independent companies of 1990s. DeVito looked for great stories and helped make them into movies, which he did. The business would change because of Jersey Films. They took a huge risk on a crazy story in 1994. That movie was made for kids. Something dark, strange, and completely new had been written by Tarantino. NJ Films kept it going after one company turned it down. Their company got money and working space from them. The whole cost was only $8 million. Tarantino said it would look like a $25 million movie, and he did. When it first came out at Cannes in 1994, it was in theaters in October. It became a classic and showed that DeVito could make work that was bold and changed the game. DeVito directed the movie Matilda in 1996. It was based on a book by Roald Dahl. He played Matilda's bad dad, and Rhea Perlman, his wife, played her mom. Not just the show, but also what happened behind the scenes made it unique. Mara Wilson, the young star, was dealing with the cancer in her mother. Both DeVito and Perlman took good care of her like family. DeVito even took her mother to the hospital to see a nearly finished cut of the movie before she died. Wilson said they were like her favorite aunt and uncle in the end. NJ Films kept making one-of-kind movies. The movie Man on the Moon, which was about comic Andy Kaufman, came out in 1999. DeVito and Kaufman had worked together on Taxi many years before. He played Kaufman's boss this time and helped make the movie. Jim Carrey did a great job as Kaufman. Perfecting the role, it got good reviews from critics, but it didn't do well at the box office. In spite of this, DeVito stuck by the show. The story was more important to him than the money. During all of his success, DeVito kept a terrible secret from everyone. Fairbanks disease is a rare bone problem that made him hurt all the time. He had surgery after surgery, but the pain kept coming back. It was told to him by Hollywood to be quiet. They told him he'd lose his job if he looked weak. He didn't stop, even though it hurt to stand. When he was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, he would act like he wasn't hurt, but then leave the set and pass out. In 2025, he finally spoke up. He was sick of keeping quiet and wanted doctors to pay attention to the illness. For everyone in pain who can't get help, not just him. Diamond and Perlman sold their home in Beverly Hills in 2015. It had been there since 1994. It was huge with 2 pools, a gym, a wine cellar, and over 579 square feet of space on 2 acres. It had everything, but their 3 kids, Lucy, Grace, and Jake, were already adults. There was more to the sale than just money. For their family, it was the end of an era. He joined the group of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia in 2006, when he was 62 years old. The network didn't want him at first. They thought he was too well known. But Rob Melheny, who made the show, worked hard to get him on board, and it paid off. The ratings went up by 227%. DeVito also didn't get paid a lot. He only got $70,000 a show, even though he used to make 10 times that much. Young people saw him more as Frank Reynolds by 2010 than for anything else. DeVito wasn't afraid to do anything to make people laugh. During one show in 2007, he put hand sanitizer all over himself and slid across the floor naked. That wasn't in the plan. It became a famous event. In another, he jumped off of a couch while his makeup was still wet from sweat. He got a rash, but he kept going. He even took a bath in trash water in 2013. Someone asked him if it was too much, and he said, "At my Age vanity is just another word for missed opportunity. But the pain never stopped behind the scenes. In 2008, doctors found that he had some very bad disc damage in his back. By 2010, he was in a lot of pain almost half of the time he was shooting. He got up at 4:30 a.m. every day with treatment for 4 hours. He jumped on a small platform, bathed in hot and cold water, and even hung upside down in his trailer. In 2011, it took him 19 takes to get one water slide scene right. He ended up with broken blood vessels in his eye, but the scene made it into the final cut. After 30 years of marriage, Devito and Perlman split up in 2012. Everyone was shocked. Trouble began in 2011 when Devito had to work long hours, and stories spread that he was friends with a much younger woman on set. He or she went to therapy 38 times, but it still wasn't fixed. Then in 2013, they were seen together again. The place where they had their first date was his rental. They tried again, and this time they stayed together for 4 more years. In 2017, they broke up for good. They never got divorced, even after their second breakup. They came up with a way to split their money without going to court. Devito got a house in 2019 that is not far from Perlman's. They still talked every Wednesday and Sunday. They met at the same diner and table every month, just like they used to. One time, their son said that they still had the same Netflix account and texted each other while watching same shows from different homes. There was a hospital in New Jersey that Devito gave $500,000 to in July 2023. Not just any hospital. He was born in this one, which used to be called Raleigh Fitkin Paul Morgan Memorial. It is now called the Jersey Shore University Medical Center. The $500,000 gift wasn't just a PR stunt. It was a way to say thank you. The hospital was just named one of the best 5% in the country for professional care. Its most important patient needs were met by Devito's gift. Robert Garrett, CEO of Hackensack Meridian Health, told him how great it was that he understood how powerful giving really is. The founder of Jersey Mike's Subs and an old friend of Devito's said that he really cared about healthcare and wanted to make a change. Dan Devito has used his fame for years to speak out about politics as well as the environment and healthcare. He's never been afraid to say what he thinks, but some say it's cost him. There isn't any solid proof. However, reports have been going around. Video from not too long ago says that Devito's honesty has upset some people in Hollywood. He started talking about his rare disorder Fairbanks disease, which affects bone growth. In the same video, and it seems like he was quietly pushed out of some jobs of power, it said that he began to speak out for disabled people and question why Hollywood still has such strict beauty standards. The video even says that the people who made it forced him to get strange treatments to make him look more normal. Some trustworthy sources haven't confirmed any of this, but the idea makes you wonder how much it really costs to be honest in show business. It has become his personal goal to help children's hospitals treat bone diseases. It's not easy to live with Fairbanks disease. It hurts and stiffens your joints and starts arthritis early. It is said that Devito kept this a secret for years, starring, directing, and producing despite the pain. But lately, he's been talking about it for other kids too, not just himself. These kids don't have the money or someone to speak up for them when they need help. He wants to do more study. He wants better care. He also wants Hollywood to stop acting like every body type is okay to be on TV. But things haven't always gone well. Danny DeVito was in the news again in May 2025, but this time for a different reason. He did an interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live, which began as a normal talk show, quickly turned into an uproar. At first, everyone laughed and joked, but by the second part, things were getting heated. The fight that followed got so bad that DeVito had to leave the set. No one knows what started it. They had to step in to keep things from getting worse, not to help him leave. A lot of people saw it. There were a lot of clips on social media, and terms like "Ooh Danny vs. Kimmel" and "Ooh DeVito Unleashed" were used all over. There were a lot of views on the internet. Some people clapped for him. They thought it was a real moment in a world full of fake smiles and lines that were written ahead of time. Some people weren't so nice. A breakdown is what they called it. He was being rude, they said. There was even more noise in the argument when other comics joined. Bill Burr spoke up for him and said that artists are often put under too much pressure. On their shows, Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers made jokes about the whole thing. It became clear that this wasn't Just a weird conversation. It was a big deal in pop culture. He didn't keep quiet for long. After a few days, he put up a message online. No apologies, just being honest. He wrote, "I stand by everything I said. If you're in a dark place, it can be hard to hear the truth." The post made things worse. Reports started to spread that some of his planned events had been canceled or moved. Some people started to talk about a quiet blacklisting, but there was no official word. With the goal of making things better, Jimmy Kimmel said something. "I have a lot of respect for Danny. One day I hope we can laugh about this, but the damage or the story was already told. Danny Devito hasn't gone away, even with all the noise. He is still making things and working. At age 79, he is making a video series called Game 7 about sports for Prime Video. The whole family is working on it. It's being made with help from his kids, Jake and Lucy. He says he likes sports in a strange way. He's not used to this type of show, but that's part of what makes him interesting. He doesn't stay in one place. There's also It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's been Frank Reynolds since the second season in 2005. At that point, the show was having trouble, but DeVito's entrance made things better. It became a cult hit thanks to his crazy energy and perfect timing. After almost 20 years, he's still there, planning, yelling, and climbing out of chairs, and people still love him.